Hello dear, Vijayeendra Kshatriya welcomes you once again. In this video, I am going to explain the complete and unabridged story, The Last Leaf, written by O. Henry, a very heart-touching story. In this story, we find three main characters. One, Sue from the state of Maine, Johnsy from the state of California, and an old man named Behrman who lives in the Greenwich village. These two girls have come to New York in order to make a career in fine arts. Both are artists. Both of them have the same taste, like dressing or eating. They become friends and start living together in the third floor of an old building which serves as their studio as well. Mr. Behrman is an old man. He lives in the ground floor of the same building where the two girls are staying, and he is an ordinary painter, though he has an ambition of coming out with a masterpiece one day. But so far, in 25 years, he has not even done anything, and the canvas, white canvas, is still waiting for that masterpiece. He works with commercial painters and makes a little bit of money in that, and sometimes he poses as a model to the poor artists who cannot afford professional models. There is a description of the Greenwich village where these three characters live. The author says that the lanes or the streets of the Greenwich village are very crazy, he says. That is, they are not straight because it is an unplanned old city. We find so many curves in that, and the main road splits into small lanes, narrow lanes, which the author calls as places, and they are so haphazard and so narrow. Whenever a stranger walks in these lanes, narrow lanes, sometimes after walking a little distance, he finds himself back to the same place. Such are the lanes of this Greenwich. Most of the inhabitants of this place are poor people, middle class people. In this place, we find the old-fashioned buildings like 18th century gables, Dutch attics. Normally, the artists, that is painters, come here and they are interested in drawing and painting the 18th century gables, Dutch attics, and these old-fashioned buildings. It is popular among poor people. They find low rented houses here. In the month of November, pneumonia spreads across the Greenwich village. Johnsy becomes the victim of this dreaded disease. After 3-4 days, a doctor is called in, and after examining, the doctor finds that she is very ill and very weak. The doctor asks Sue whether she is very serious about anything. Without knowing what the doctor meant, like a novice, Sue says that Johnsy has an ambition of painting the Bay of Naples. Then the doctor once again asks whether this girl has some worry, whether Johnsy is in love with someone, whether she is thinking of any man. Sue says in her high pitch that they never think of any man because they think that it is not worth thinking. Then the doctor decides that it is pneumonia which has attacked her, and she needs treatment. But he is of the opinion that Johnsy is not ready to get well, because she has become very much pessimistic, and she is not interested in getting well. And the doctor says that if someone is not optimistic, if he or she thinks about dying, then the medicine what they give, its effect is not even 50%. Therefore, it is now mandatory that she has to develop a positive attitude so that she can get well soon. When Sue heard this grave situation of her friend Johnsy, she becomes very sad. She goes into the workroom and sits alone there. The author says that she shed so much of tears that the tissue paper, Japanese napkin, became a pulp. After some time, Sue thinks that it is not good to leave Johnsy alone in that room. She brings her drawing board and sets it up there because she has to draw some sketches. While she is drawing, she finds Johnsy looking out of the window and whispering 12, 11, 10. So she is counting in descending order. Sue is surprised at it. She goes near to the bed, and Sue sees that Johnsy is looking at an ivy vine which has spread on the brick wall of the opposite house. Because of the autumn, these leaves are falling down, and earlier hundreds of leaves were there, but now most of them have already fallen and only 12 are left. And whenever a leaf falls down, she counts it. Sue is surprised at this action, and she asks why she is counting all these things. Then Johnsy gives a stunning reply that she believes that when the last leaf falls down, she will die. It was such a shocking statement for Sue. This is the height of pessimism. She has already decided that she is going to die. She is connecting her life with the falling of the leaves, which is ridiculous. So therefore, Sue becomes a bit angry. It is irritating her. Then Johnsy says that she has overheard doctor telling that it is only 10% chance that she will be alive. And for this, Sue says that everybody has the same chance of living. That is only 10%, because whenever they go into the market, whenever they are on the road, accident can kill anybody at any time. So in this modern world, everybody has the life risk. So 10% is a fair one, she says. Johnsy is crazy about looking at the ivy vine and count the leaves. She thinks that when the last leaf falls down, she too will go off, in the sense she will die. Therefore, she wants to see the last leaf fall down. Therefore, she rather requests Sue to go and do her work in the other room. But Sue says that she would rather be by the bedside all the time and look after her, but because she has already committed, she has to finish the work soon. That's the reason she is doing some work, and she would like to do the work in the same room. And then Sue requests Johnsy not to look at the vine, and she says that the work is in hand. She has committed that she would give the drawing the next day. Sue says that she would get a little money after selling those drawings, and she would be happy to bring wine for her friend and some chops of pork for herself. Therefore, she requests Johnsy to sleep. Then Johnsy says that there is no use of bringing wine because she is not going to live. She believes that the leaves would fall very soon, and soon she will also die. Sue gets irritated by Johnsy's words. Finally, Johnsy agrees to sleep, but she puts a condition that when Sue completes her work, she should be allowed to look at the wine. Finally, she orders Johnsy to close her eyes and sleep. And then she continues with her work. Johnsy says that she is tired of waiting. She is tired of thinking. In the sense, she wants to see the last leaf fall soon and she would die soon. Such a dangerous idea in her mind. Now that Sue has to take up another work for which she needs a model, she has to go down and bring Mr. Behrman to pose as a model to her next drawing. When she meets the old man, she tells the fancy idea of Johnsy, and the old man is irritated by this thought, and he becomes a little angry on Sue. He says that she shouldn't have allowed such devilish idea come into Johnsy's mind, and therefore he gets angry, and in a fit of rage he says that he would not pose as a model to her. But later he understands that it is none of her mistakes. Sue says that the fever, the weakness has made her think all this nonsense. When the old man and Sue come into Johnsy's room, both of them go to the window and see the ivy vine. Outside it is raining, there is a snowfall, and there is a wind. Both of them are really afraid now. In this condition, all the leaves would fall down very soon. When Johnsy sees the last leaf fallen down, she would definitely die. Therefore, they are fear struck. But they couldn't do anything at that time. The old man sits for some times and poses, and Sue continues with her hermit minor painting, and after some times the old man goes to his house. When Sue wakes up after an hour's sleep, she sees that Johnsy is already woken up and she is looking at the curtain. Sue goes near to the window, and Johnsy requests the curtain to be removed so that she could see the ivy vine. Now this time Sue could not do anything. Wearily she opens the shade, and both of them look at the ivy vine. They see a single leaf still clinging to the ivy vine. Despite such rain, despite wind, snow, it has endured all those things and it is still alive. It is clinging to the ivy vine. It is really surprising. Johnsy reiterates again the same thing, that she expected this last leaf to fall down during the night, and she too would die during night itself. And now she expects the leaf to fall down during daytime at any hour. When Sue hears this, she becomes very sad, and she says, "Don't think like this. If you die, what would happen to me?" But Johnsy doesn't reply to this. She continues to think of the last leaf. Now she says that this leaf is definitely going to fall before night on the same day, and she would die.
Nothing happens for the whole day.
Again, when they see the ivy vine in the twilight, still
The leaf is holding to the ivy vine.
the rain and the wind continue even that night also. So there was every danger that the last leaf would fall down. But there was a surprise. When they wake up in the morning and see the ivy vine, the last leaf is still holding to the ivy vine. This makes Johnsy to change her attitude. She is really surprised that a single leaf is struggling very hard against the strong wind and against the rain. And this inspires the girl to think positively. Now she is optimistic. She wants to draw inspiration from this leaf which is struggling to live. And if a leaf is struggling hard to live, and why shouldn't she? She too has to live. This optimism changes everything. Now Johnsy asks Sue that she wants to sit up, so she wants some pillows to be propped up, and she asks even a hand mirror so that she can see her face, how she is. And she asks for some broth, that is soup. She wants to take some soup. So these all indicate that now she is optimistic. She wants to live. The credit goes to that single leaf which struggled and held itself the whole night, and now it is still there on the wall in the ivy vine. Johnsy now repents for her pessimistic view what she had. She thinks that she is a sinner. She shouldn't have thought of dying. Johnsy sits up and looks around. After some times, Johnsy says that now she hopes to paint her favorite Bay of Naples. So this is so very optimistic. Just after some times, the doctor visits and examines Johnsy and finds that she is better now. And when he talks to her, he comes to know that now she is optimistic. That's what he wanted. After some times, he leaves the room, and Sue also follows him. They again stand at the hallway, and he says that the chances of recovery are very high. Only thing she needs good food, good nourishment, and good care. That's it. And Sue is very happy to hear this. While departing, the doctor says that he is to see another patient, that is the old man, Mr. Behrman, that he is attacked by pneumonia, and as he is old and the attack is very much acute, that his chance of surviving is almost nil. But in order to make him little comfortable, they want to take him to the hospital, and that's the reason now he has to go and see old Behrman. And later in the afternoon, Sue goes down to Behrman's house, and she comes to know about the shocking death of Behrman. And she comes back to Johnsy and tells what she has heard and seen. She says that old Behrman died the previous day in the hospital, and the janitor who came to clean the room saw that shoes and the clothes being wet, and the lantern was still in lit condition, and the palette and the brushes were used but not cleaned, and the paints used were mainly green and yellow. These all indicate that 2 days ago the old man had come to know that the last leaf has fallen, and before Johnsy sees this, he has to do something, and he goes in the night itself taking a lantern and a paint brush, and he drags the ladder there and paints a leaf, the last leaf. It was so very real, and that is the reason Johnsy and Sue believe that the last leaf is still clinging to the vine. Actually, it was not the leaf, it was the painting. It was so very real, and this saved the life of Johnsy, and he risked his life to do this thing. And because of the exposure to the cold wind outside, the old man contracted pneumonia, and in 2 days he died. Such a great sacrifice, and we can consider that this is the masterpiece what the old man wanted to
paint one day.
He was such a good man. Once when he saw Johnsy lying on the bed, it hurt him a lot, and therefore he had said one day he would have a lot of money with him because of his masterpiece, and then he would buy a big house, and there all the three could live. So this is the attitude that old man had. He wanted to keep the girls in a very comfortable position, but what a pity, he died. And now I hope that you have understood the story well. If you feel that my narration has been very good, please like the video and share it with your friends, and please be my subscriber. And wait, you can find the complete summary in my blog. This is my blog address, and when you go to my blog, select summaries of poems, and there you find a very good summary. Okay, all the best. Thank you for watching this video.